Texas women and allies. I'm gonna do my best to make it through this speech without crying because I've never seen such an outpouring of support before. And I'm so proud to be here. I'm here with my son, Brendan. I'm here to tell you, I'm a Black woman, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and I'm a daughter. I had this eye socket broken. I've had my hair pulled out by the root. I've been raped and sexually assaulted more than 5 times. I've miscarried a baby in the 8th month during a fight with my abuser. I've been homeless and displaced several times, but I'm here to tell you that I'm a 20-year survivor of domestic violence and abuse. After a solid, severe 3 years of physical, verbal, sexual, mental, and financial abuse, I fled to my local shelter here in Austin after my abuser brought a gun to my home, threatening the lives of my then 8-month-old son and 2-year-old daughter. During my abuse, I uprooted from my community and moved 3 times. I lost 4 jobs because of the abuse, and I was evicted because of this abuse. Now, what if I told you that the resources that I received 20 years ago are in danger of disappearing entirely? What if I told you that rather than having access to a safe and warm shelter, that my children and I were forced to sleep in our car because there were no beds available to us? Yeah, come on. In the state of Texas, nearly 42% of those that go to their local shelter will be turned away due to shelter overcrowding. In 2018, nearly 11,491 victims became displaced and homeless every day due to shelter overcrowding and lack of beds. And now, what if I told you that nearly 29.1% of those turned away were African American, or 31% were Hispanic and Latino? Y'all, these are people like me with children like mine from all socioeconomic backgrounds, running from danger, running for their lives, and leaving everything behind. Nearly 32% of those who call themselves homeless in Austin, 13% have self-identified as victims of domestic violence. They've left without community, without support, but there is hope because of you. There's a new class growing in the United States. Brave survivors strong enough to finally leave their violence, but they are left in this horrible limbo immediately after they leave their violence. Some will return to the violence because they've worked so hard to leave it, but there's no other options. They're sleeping in their cars, and despite the immense circumstances in front of them, they still go to work every day. They still keep their kids in school. They're trying to live life as best as they can, in what I call the in-between. They look like you and me, and the only difference is they're displaced and now facing continued homelessness, poverty, and disenfranchisement. We must do more to protect women like me with children like mine escaping their violence. A brave survivor should be met with community, resources, and reassurances that they made the right decision for themselves and their children when they take the huge step to leave. Because of income restrictions and how much money a survivor can make, sometimes they're left in this ethos where one financial disaster will send them back into their abuser's home. Because of living in fear and in this violence is less than the fear of living on the streets. Rebuilding and recovering is so much longer and harder than their abusive lives. I hear survivors say all the time, they're over dealing with the system and it's easier just to go home, but they can't go home. 73% of those that will return home will experience intensified abuse and death. So this is what we face here in Austin and globally. Domestic violence is not only a displacement and homelessness issue, it's a human rights issue. We live in a country now led by a president who has no respect for women and openly shows his disdain. The legal protections for victims of abuse are being stripped away, and laws created to provide those protections and funding for many of those organizations that support victims, like VAWA, are dangerously close to disappearing entirely. So now is the time to advocate and support candidates that are non-misogynistic supervillains that pass laws that protect women rather than putting them into danger. Now is the time to collaborate and innovate. Now is the time for women to unite around solutions to educate, strengthen, nourish, and activate the resiliency that every woman has. There's absolutely no reason why a victim of abuse should not have a safe place to land when they leave their abusive homes. Empowerment is defined as authority or power given to someone to do something, the process of becoming stronger and more confident, especially in controlling one's life and claiming one's rights. Our plan of action is affordable housing, workforce development, access to affordable education, employment leading to an actual living wage, protected public policy, and building new funding resources for survivors of abuse. It's legacy building, and that's what real empowerment looks like. Today, women of Austin and allies, I implore you, as a woman with children like mine, domestic violence is here, abuse lives, and is encouraged. Women are becoming displaced and chronically homeless every day. We must advocate for women, even those we've never seen. And when inequities and injustices arise, we must stand. Make it a point to go out and find about the issues facing other women that don't look like you, that don't look like people that are in your community, to open your conscience to the world around you, outside your doors. Change the language from them to us. I am confident that today, together, a true legacy of empowerment can be seeded, despite our circumstances, despite who is leading us. We can do this together. Thank you.